What's up, world, and welcome back to the Global Frequency. I'm your host, Nefarious.
And I'm Frequency Girl.
And today we are joined by Brian Menard, founder of Dojo Kun Comics, here today to tell us all about his Just ruined my intro.
So you did that all on your own.
All right. I have to show everyone why. Why?
Let's bring Brian on. Let's finish introducing your guest, and then you can explain why you
tell me how
can't
to do
make
my
a sentence.
Here today to tell us all about his upcoming project, Projectile Reptile, coming to Indiegogo soon.
August.
Yes. Brian, what's up?
Hey guys, August 13th, as a matter of fact.
August 13th, that's awesome. You want to see something really disturbing?
Maybe? What the hell?
It's Bancroft without eyebrows.
It's very disturbing.
Thanks, wow. Twitter! You guys are the best! I don't know.
That made him look like his forehead was that much larger and he maybe was a Ferengi or something.
Right? It was kind of terrifying.
It did kind of look like Star Trek-y or something.
Let's take another look. Yeah,
that's...
It kind of has like the veins going vertically. And...
Yeah, that's... No, please don't ever show me that
Seriously,
again.
if you take off the eyebrows, it makes the forehead look that much bigger. It's terrifying.
No, this is not okay.
This is not okay? You want this off the screen?
Yes,
okay,
please.
All right, there we go. So, before we go any further, we should say hello to the chat. We have got D-Wag being ever so generous, magnanimous. Give my first to Armin. Armin's not here, D-Wag, so I think you've got two. You got a 2 in a row right now. We got Snuggy Jr. saying, "Bow, what is up, Snuggy?" We got Dave Brink. Hey, I'll try and stay awake for this, but if I fall asleep, there's always the replay. There is always the replay, but it's always so much fun to watch it live. We've got Odin here for like 5 minutes before he goes and does something else. We've also got Aldous. Greetings, all will be lurking and listening as he always is. It's good. It's good, like, rule of thumb. Just assume Aldous is always listening. We've also got B-Rose, I don't care. We've got Lord Crackhead. What is up? We have got Mo Biggs. Thank you so much for joining us, Mo, the entity. We've got Noah. Noah and Shelby had the most wonderful beef last night.
Yes, it was very entertaining.
I have all of these clips of Noah just...
He was going to town clip.
Acting like entitled and spoiled. You know what? Let me see if I can pull one up while we talk. You take over saying hello to everybody, and I'm going to do that. Okay. I'm going to grab a Noah clip for you.
I have to scroll down now.
Yeah, well, hurry up.
I'm trying to... Hero Shack Press. Hello. Welcome. I will say hello to Black Rose Comics because we love you, B-Rose, even though he says...
Well, maybe you do.
Yeah, right?
I think everyone a little bit. Just a little bit.
All right, share screen.
Hockey! Bonjour, monsieur! How are you doing? We're going to have Hockey on for the great hat caper. I don't know, I was going to go for something like cooler than that, and then I didn't. So, we have to get Hockey a new hat.
All right.
Proper hat.
All right. There we go.
Listen, imagine doing this to a kid. I'm just a kid, and I have to deal with this. It's unbelievable. And I thought Anne Frank had it rough, but look at me. Listen.
that Neff had a lot of fun doing.
There was a lot of fun watching Noah, complain about Shelby and Art Jedi. Apparently, I've never met Art Jedi, but I really want to now, just to see who gets under Noah's skin to that degree.
We have Hicks Villain. What's up, Hicks?
We've also got Hero Shack with us. Did you say hi to Hero Shack?
I did.
I wasn't listening because I don't listen to you.
Mobig says losing his eyebrows is like when you knock down a wall to open up a room. He's talking about Bancroft, obviously. because Noah has eyebrows.
Noah serenaded Shelby with his guitar at the end of the stream. I missed that
I missed
part
that.
because
I
I'd
think, were
already...
we watching the chair at that point?
Yeah,
And,
I already
think
started
we
watching
switched
the
over to
chair.
the chair,
Right.
and then we switched over to Bancroft.
Right, exactly.
So.
Like, there was no point once Shelby started up his stream, right? We've also got Good Stuff with us. Thank you so much for tuning in. Good Stuff. It is so good to see you. I haven't
Good
seen you in a
Stuff.
while, buddy.
How's it going?
I just actually watched a really cool Good Stuff video. It was about hamburgers. Like, he gave us
Ooh,
a
I like
recipe on
hamburgers.
hamburgers. Yeah.
Ooh,
and there was
I
also
have to watch
one a
that.
couple days back where the cops stole his weed. Or, not his weed, but, you know. So yeah, go check that out if you guys haven't watched it already. He's doing these little videos. I like the little format where he just drops like a couple minute video, so it's fun. It's a nice little bite.
Vengeance is here. Hello.
We have got
felt
Mr.
he
Vengeance.
needed, like,
Vengeance Productions.
a
All right.
pose for that.
We have
Don't
said hello to
skip
the
Jeremy.
chat.
Wait, don't skip Jeremy.
I thought we said hello to LCH. We didn't say hello to Lord
Yeah, we
Crackhead?
did. Well, we'll say hello again. I thought we did, but we'll say hello again.
So, in case you guys don't know, Crackhead has a very important giveaway coming up tomorrow. Make sure you tune in. I think tonight is the last night to make sure your comment
Was it
Yes.
tonight or was it last
It
night?
might have been last night. It might have
No,
been
no,
last
it's
night.
tonight.
Jeremy, let me know if I'm like.
Oh, it is
yeah,
tonight?
was-
Okay. I don't know. If we're getting this wrong, just correct us, and then we will correct ourselves by reading your.
Noah
chat.
says that was hours after show. But I don't watch your streams.
You think I was
Noah.
awake hours after Bancroft was
No,
over?
we pass out.
We're not 15, Noah.
We're lucky if we make it to Bancroft most nights.
Seriously. Also, Jeremy said,
Crackhead unfollowed me on Twitter and I don't know why. Well, ask him.
the Anne Frank one kind of got me, not gonna lie.
I know, it was great. I got a couple more. I just, I want to talk to Dojo Kun. Maybe I'll queue one up while he's talking and I'm not listening to him so that,
Yeah,
Oh,
I forgot to say
wow.
hello to everyone in the chat by typing. We're a little, I don't know, I think we had too much sugar or something today.
It's the third coffee. It's the third coffee, yeah.
Said, I'm privated. The entry stream tonight around midnight EST. Gotta enter before then. Excellent.
See, I didn't think it was purposeful. You guys will work that out. And if something bad happened, I'm sure you
Oh,
guys
he's
can.
privating the entry stream tonight. I'm like,
Right.
I'm privated? What is that? Like, huh?
I understood what it meant.
Yeah, I don't know.
Brian, did you
I didn't
understand?
sleep well.
Did you
I'll blame
understand what
it
it
on
meant?
that.
We both understood what it meant.
Yeah.
That's your problem.
It apparently. I'm not always an idiot, but sometimes I am.
Sometimes. So we've had you on the show for a couple times now. First time was when you were crowdfunding Siamese. We had you on again when you doing Healing Wars, and most recently for Toro Tales, where you showed off some more of the other heroes in the Dojo Kun Comics universe. But I can trace your work going back to like 2015 when you were with Red King Press and Don Thomas rather, putting out books like Tides, In Utero, The Commander, all published in Create Space. How did you get your start working in comics?
Wow. So yeah, you almost went back to the beginning of comics for me as far as being in the industry. So at around 1999, I was collecting pretty much everything in the mainstream. We're talking Dark Horse, Image, DC, Valiant, Marvel, Malibu, and even a few others like Allegiant. Anyway, it got to be too much money. And we had 2 infants, my ex and I did. So I gave up comics completely on New Year's Eve 1999. And that lasted for 14 years. I got back into comic books, decided I was going to collect She-Hulk, Juggernaut, and Superboy, the Con-El character, the one who had the black t-shirt and the jeans. And I also wrote a script for She-Hulk. And I scoured the Marvel website to see how do I submit this, to see if they'll hire me as a writer. Well, there's a small little paragraph buried deep in the website that basically says you don't. You go get published and we'll find you. So I found a website called zwol.org, ZWOL, which is short for the guy who runs it. His last name is Zwolinski. But on the site, there are people who are writers and artists and colorists and letterers, etc., and it brings you together so you can form a creative team. One of the ads in there said, we need somebody to help us with our writing and our accounting. It was like, have we met?
Well, I can do both.
So I sent them my resume and my She-Hulk script, and this company was called Affinity Storm Press. And I worked for them writing a book called Shadow Faction, and I wrote one called Techno Trio. Now, Shadow Faction saw, I think, 3 full issues. before I left them to go to Red King Press. And Red King Press, like you started the list, that was just actually just a few of them, and there was quite a few more. But the one I worked the most on, as far as publishing, was it was their Red King Press Presents, and there was 4 issues of that, but it was an anthology tale, so there was a lot of stories in there. We also parted ways, and that's when I started Dojo Kun Comics.
And so tell us about Dojo Kun Comics, the publishing company. You advertised Dojo Kun Comics as a new beginning. Where did it come from, and how was it founded? Why'd you decide on the name Dojo Kun?
Oh, okay. Well, Dojo Kun is easy. Having been a karate student for years, starting in college, the Dojo Kun are the 5 rules of the karate dojo. So, and I learned those pretty early on. In fact, in order to pass your black belt test, you need to know those in English and Japanese. But I was just taking my second green stripe. So you've got a white belt, you get a green stripe, and then you get a second green stripe. And so when he asked me to recite the Dojo Kun, I said, "Do you want it in English or Japanese?" And he's like,
Snap!
"You don't need to know it in Japanese yet, but if you want to give it to me in Japanese." So I recited them in Japanese, and he not being a Japanese person, looked at the woman next to him, Miho Higashi, and asked her, "How do you do?" And she nodded like, "Yep, that was right." so yeah, that I'm sure went a long way toward getting that next stripe.
And really what it was is you guys had a little inside joke where you just, gave him a litany of insults, and she was just nodding along and, completely in tune with what you were doing, and it was beautiful.
In on the joke.
We
right?
got Tyler in the house. What is up, Tyler?
Hey, Tyler. We also have Hex Ellen Comics.
And we had hockey.
I'm all
had hockey. Yep. And
gesturing. I think I've had too much sugar. I don't know. I'm all like,
wow.
Everything has gestures today. Sorry, I'm weird.
Just stop.
I'm trying.
Dumb.
I am dumb. Hockey is leaving to have breakfast. Bye, Hockey.
Bye, Hockey. We'll see you again soon. So yeah, you published a lot of titles over the year and have a lot of heroes in your stable at Dojo Kun Comics, but you don't write everything or come up with every character.
That's right.
How do you structure the heroes and books that you publish, and how do you get your licensing in order?
For the characters that are in my Connected Superhero Universe, I write the majority of them, but there's a few writers who help out with that. And basically, I'm trying to keep canon consistent. And there will not be undos or redos in my universe. So basically what I had to do is I had to decide some of the rules that will apply. Like, for example, time travel isn't going to be an easy fix. There's not going to be a multiverse where all you got to do is, if this character dies, is bring in the one from, universe 12 or whatever. No, that's not going to happen. In my opinion, that's kind of lazy. So things that happen in the Connected Superhero Universe are going to have ramifications or significance. And if that means a character dies, it's not going to be an easy fix. Like, well, he's dead this week, but come back next week. And,
Unless you're a necromancer.
There are also some stories that won't be part of the Connected Superhero Universe that are written by others. One, I know you have a copy of, Neff, and it's called I Am Become Death. That was a novella. Dude. What's that?
Yeah, dude, I do.
Yep. Yep. That was a novella that was written by Nicholas Prontka that I then adapted into a comic book script. And it's a short story with a wicked twist at the end. But yeah, it's not part of the Connected Superhero Universe, but he asked if we would do that under the Dojo Kun banner, and if I'm impressed, I will include it. Yep.
Is that kind of how you did Healing Wars: The Shifter?
Oh, the Healing Wars? No. As a matter of fact, my wife had first read the trilogy, and it's more toward young adults, to be honest with you. A friend of hers suggested it to her. She liked it a lot, and thought that I would too. And she was right. I did like it a whole lot. So I was, Hail Frog G, I was talking to a friend of mine. His name is Steve, and in fact, he'll come up again in a few minutes. But Steve said, "Oh, you really like that trilogy? Do you want to talk to the author?" I was like, "Yeah, sure, why not?" So he happened to work with the author's husband. So he got me in touch with Janice, and Janice and I talked about licensing the rights to creating the comic book version of her trilogy of award-winning novels. So that's what that was about. And, honestly, the reason the goal for the shifter was so high, and I think that's why some people backed off from backing it, was because in addition to paying for the art, the coloring, and the lettering, because I'm #just a writer, I also had to pay for the licensing fee. And I'll be perfectly honest, she was very reasonable with it, but still, it was over and above what a comic book would cost.
Yep. How much is that?
How much is
like,
what?
What would a comic book generally cost?
Yeah, that's a really good question. For someone who is #just a writer, I'm going to say $8 to 10 grand.
Okay. Yeah, it's like right in the middle. Sure. So what's it like being editor-in-chief, bringing people on and kind of managing, orchestrating this universe? Like you said, I have the entire Dojo Kun library, and a lot of it fits together quite nicely. The Toro Tales introduced a bunch of the characters, but the single issues like Breathtaker and Sovereign and those are really great, the way that they fit together and bring the other heroes into like cross stories. Same thing with Night Mist and Scarlet Archer, that kind of stuff. So what's it like kind of working on all of those projects at once? Because if I were doing it, I wouldn't have time to write everything. You've got to bring on a staff.
Right. There are times where I can't even type fast enough to write what's up here. But yeah, you're right. You have to bring on, first of all, the other creative staff, the people who have the skill sets that I don't have. But I also have additional writers that work with me as well. It's been a while since I have had other writers, but there's one who hopefully will be coming back soon, because a stretch goal on Projectile Reptile is an additional 8 pages. But those 8 pages won't be Projectile Reptile. They'll be a chapter of Dr. Primordial, called Primordial Tales, and his name is Patrick Daniel, and Patrick wrote Dr. Primordial's story.
So who's Dr. Primordial? You piqued my interest.
He is he's kind of enigmatic, but you did see him when you read The Loved Ones. He made his first appearance in that black and white horror and not an anthology, it was just a story. Do you remember the black and white one with the kids who were like the Marvel movie monsters?
No.
No? Okay. Well, he made an appearance there and helped them battle toward the end. So
the one that I remember of like the sort of horror one was the 2 girls that were hitchhiking, and then they like started working at a diner. Yeah, Night Mist was dope. That was like unexpected. Like, wait, what the hell is going on here? Why is she naked and covered in blood? So it's like, definitely kind of hit me sideways. It's like, what? Your comics do have a way of doing that, which is just like suddenly unexpected stuff. So on that note, where did you get the idea for Projectile Reptile?
That one sort of took a life of its own. I was talking with a friend about writing a Western. He was going to write one story. I was going to write another. We were going to have them both featured in a single comic book. His schedule just filled up beyond being able to be a part of it. So I was just going to write a Western on my own. Having never written a Western before, I was worried if I was going to capture the genre correctly, if I'd have enough of a story. So as I was writing it, it occurred to me that there could be a lot of fun with it if I took it in so many different ways that it seems like a non sequitur when I say them, but when you read the book, you'll see how it flows from one section to the other and how they're related. So yeah, the idea, the actual name came up because I really like the idea of rhyming, and I'm going to give a little bit of credit to the inspiration for the name, and that's a guy who's in the chat an awful lot. That's Tentacle Pentacle.
Oh, Tentacle Pentacle. That's definitely like the alliterative naming conventions. But I was going to think, like maybe ARO, AR-15 orangutan had something to do with it, because like all of the like creatures with weapon kind of combinations things, like, it felt very much in line with like the popular convention of naming creatures with weapons. But Tentacle Pentacle, yeah, it's a very good point. That is
well, it was
of the. No.
Go ahead.
No, talk.
I was gonna say, speaking of the chat, we've had a few more people
filter
in while we've been chatting. So I thought we would just.
We got one about. What's up? What about?
Hey, what about? What is up? We also have. I was just scrolling back to make sure I didn't miss anybody. We have Frog G, which I know you said hi to Frog G before, but I want to make sure we said hi to Frog G. And we also had AA.
What's up, arrogant A?
And I was looking for his comment before, but he said the Dojo Kun number one of frequency is you must have sugar.
Yeah, that's true. Yep.
I agree.
Someone say alliteration. It's true. We did.
Oh, yeah, arrogant A.
Yeah, just intense cuddling with toys. All right.
Okay. Mobig said just a regular Friday night for Phoenix.
In response to the women covered in blood.
Naked girl covered in blood.
Oh,
and Snuggles had a few questions for Dojo that we will work.
Are we going to get... You have to write them down or something because I have no idea where they are.
Okay.
But I'm going to get back to my, series of questions here.
Oh, I knew there was going to be some. You're good at this.
You fondle a lot of different genres, but you put your personal touch on all of them every time at Dojo Kun Comics. How would you describe the books that come out of your publishing house? Is there a unifying theme? Who's your audience?
All right. So what I'm trying to do is emulate the comics in my formative years. And I think that the comic books that really resonate most with me are those from the early 80s. You probably have heard me say a dozen times or more how big a She-Hulk fan I am. And I mean, of all of the Marvel stuff that I've just dropped because, well, you know why. I still collect She-Hulk. Ooh, that's...
I'm still he was
I still get She-Hulk despite the fact that I'm disappointed in the mainstream. I'm just going to leave that there and stop talking negative. So with the 80s, there were some fantastic authors that I try to emulate. Marv Wolfman is one. Chris Claremont is another. Even Jim Shooter, who, he's kind of controversial, but I think he was a great writer. Louis Simonson was another. There are a lot that kept comic books fun, even if they were tackling some serious issues. Like some of them dealt with, death in the family. Some of them dealt with conflict and things like that. But the way they dealt with it, they would deal with a heavy issue, and then they would go back to lightheartedness to keep the comic book fun. And that's really what I think is very important, is to keep in mind, and this is one of the first tenets of Dojo Kun Comics, is that there's supposed to be escapism entertainment. I in no way want to try to teach you a lesson. I will have diversity in my comics. I will have characters that have different races, religions, sexual orientation, everything you can think of, but not try to teach you about that. They just are.
Mo Big says, "Damn, I wish someone would bring up Jim Shooter during a Sugar Chris stream because I just thought of a joke." And
you have to share that with us.
We will be hearing that joke.
So since you were kind of talking about your audience and all that, right? That was a question that you just asked.
Yeah. Please.
It kind of feeds into one of Snuggy's questions, which was back, I guess, from when we were talking about Shifter. Are all Dojo Kun Comics YA?
Oh, no, not at all. In fact, I would say the majority of them are mature readers. I don't go real far into the mature readers realm, but in Siamese #1, for example, there was one panel of nudity. It was not a sexual situation. It was an implied situation, but you didn't see any of it. And
it wasn't like any real hanky-panky. It was implied by dialogue. And he was just saying, he does diversity, but he's not going to, cram it down your throat or anything. We have lesbian Asian sisters. That's he's hitting multiple categories there.
I got a whole bunch of check boxes, but I'm not worried about any agendas.
Right, exactly. Asian, incest, lesbians, it hits a lot of them, right? But and it wasn't even it just happened. It wasn't we're lesbians and sisters. It was okay, it just
right.
went right
and
by.
Again,
it was great.
It was an implication, not a direct, telling of what was going to happen. You had to, if you didn't understand, you probably were too young to understand. And if you did understand, I shouldn't have to explain it.
If you were too young to understand, you shouldn't have been reading the book.
That's true. So,
it says there are so many titles on your website, but with what we were saying, I read so many titties on your website. Where do we begin in sort of the chronology of Dojo Kun Comics? seeing as how Projectile Reptile is like taking us all the way back to Westerns, the books themselves introduce these different heroes, but is there like a chronology through which we can follow them?
Oh, see, that's a good question. The first books to read in reading order would be Siamese 1 through 4. Now, you have the library, like you said, you've got the floppies. But for those people who backed Siamese in 2021, they've got those first 4 issues here in either the hardcover or the softcover. And that's the beginning of the Dojo Kun universe. Now, the Projectile Reptile book is going to have a 2 on the spine, whereas Siamese had the 1. I don't know if that's going to come in clearly the way I've got that. They've got a 1 on there. So what I'm trying to do there is give people a reading order of the Dojo Kun universe as far as crowdfunding goes. And a lot of the books that you referred to that were from before I found crowdfunding, like Night Mist and the Scarlet Archer, like alliances featuring Breathtaker and Sovereign, things like that may come up in a reprint form or something like that, and with additional either background stories or additional artwork and things like that, because I don't want to just have people back what's already been created years ago. I want there to be something new and collectible about it. But so going back to answering your question, the chronology I would say begins with Siamese, then the other books on my website, then Projectile Reptile. Now, like you said, Projectile Reptile starts in the old American West. And what happens during the story, and it's mentioned in the trailer, which maybe we'll have a chance to look at in a few minutes here, but it's mentioned in the trailer that from the Old West, he ends up in current-day Los Angeles and meets several superheroes there. So there will be a change, obviously, in his scene, in his chronology, and he will then become part of the current-day Dojo Kun universe, and he'll even meet Siamese, for example.
Oh, that should be interesting. That'll be a very interesting interaction, I'm sure. So I'm going to... What?
Brian is saying, nice shirt, Neff.
I know. My shirt is better than your shirt.
It is.
Double rainbow death punch.
Oh, dude, like we should switch. No.
Well,
Then
no,
you'd be
I don't
invisible.
think I was saying, like, switching isn't going to work because that's not going to be enough to
I could have
cover
a little
anything.
But anyway,
So you guys,
why
you
don't
know
you say
what?
hello to everybody?
You've
Why don't you
got
say
the
hello to
hat.
everybody that
She's
came
got
in?
the shirt. You guys are an upper and lower GI.
Was that a gastrointestinal? Oh, like a GI, like a GI.
Joe.
Just say hello to everyone in the chat. I'm gonna load up the trailer. Jeez.
Hi, Sim. I have it sideloaded. Hi, Sim.
No,
How you
I'm
doing?
gonna do it because I
All
want
right,
to
you-
pause it at my
Okay,
intervals.
then you do that. Hi, General Piggy friend. We also had, obviously, Aerith.
Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
Neff is repping his
Namesake, but he spells
double
it differently.
rainbow death punch.
It is. It is.
we
It's an
also have-
awesome logo. By
It
the
is.
way.
It is.
Look how pixelated it is.
Well, only the rainbows are. Well, I guess the edge, but that's like it's supposed to be like
It's supposed
like
to be
an
8-bit.
kind of.
Yeah, like that's the idea. It was the intent behind it was to pixelate.
Yeah, it's cool. Hey,
Yeah.
John here. How you doing, John?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was
we
gonna
got
say, I'm like,
John
I got
Herman.
distracted because we're talking about pixels. Hi, be on time. Hi, John Harvey, he's awesome. I'm gonna keep scrolling, and I think I said hi to Sim, but if I didn't, I will say hello again.
All right. Enough. Did you say hello to everybody?
I think I did, and Arrogant Ape says Neff lives in the gutter.
Confirmed. Yeah, that's known. That's a
Yeah.
known fact.
Uh-oh.
Huh?
What about said Magnums and the
Pussy.
Oh, instead of
Instead of Magna.
Magnus and the
Yeah.
Posse.
posse?
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I get it.
Oh, because Frog G dropped the link.
Got it. Got it.
Yes,
All right.
there's
All right.
context.
I gotta watch this because
Okay.
we have to talk about Projectile Reptile. We're coming up on the halfway point. This character to me is a conundrum, is an enigma, more so than Dr. Primordial. Like this character, I'm not ready, bro.
Is that why you said that in response to the trailer? Where it says, "Are you
I'm not.
ready?"
I am not. I have so many questions. All right.
Well-
We're going to get through them, though. We're going to get through them. Ready?
All right.
Infamous gunslinger Desmond Gibbons, better known across the Wild West as the Cactus Kid, comes to the sleepy town of Clarkson.
All right. So we've got a gunslinger. Does that imply he's an outlaw?
Yes.
So he's a outlaw. Why is he named the Cactus Kid?
I I never really thought of why. I just thought it was a cool name. It has alliteration, going back to that again.
Okay, all
And-
right. So like
and
the
you know-
Cactus Kid, kind of like just the moniker,
Yeah, I was
why not?
I was always a fan of like Two Gun Kid and Rawhide Kid from the the 70s Marvels books, and also too, one or both of them became Avengers, which I thought was crazy, but that it kind of worked if the writing was done well.
So we've got a notorious outlaw gunslinger coming
Did you
to.
see Mo's question?
What's his question?
Is his last name Gibbons?
As in the monkeys?
Desmond Gibbons. Yeah.
Yes,
That's
it is, Mo.
Born from a cactus.
So he is like the progenitor, long time, way distant grandfather relative of ARO.
There you go.
He'd be like Two Gun Gibbons or something like that.
I mean, if he's actually an ancestor, there had to be some interspecies.
Relations.
Yeah.
If anyone's going to write that book, Dojo, it's going to be you. So we've got Desmond Gibbons, the Cactus Kid, and
Trouble finds him in the unlikeliest of sources, the sheriff.
why is it unlikely that the sheriff is the source of trouble for the gunslinger?
Oh, okay. Well, when he walks into the saloon, and this happens really early in the book, so I don't think it's too spoilery. But when he walks into the saloon, the guy that's sitting next to Cactus Kid basically is, oh shit, the sheriff is here. Basically because the sheriff is nothing but trouble. He looks for trouble. The gunslinger, nobody even knows who he is yet, and the sheriff is already all over him. So,
so he's notorious and infamous, but not well known.
Not in
There's
this
no
town
wanted
anyway.
poster or anything. Okay, all right, cool. Now I understand. Because I'm wondering here, you got a notorious gunslinger who finds trouble from the sheriff, who would know who a notorious gunslinger is
Well,
and be
here's the
looking
thing.
for him.
Keep in
But this
mind,
sheriff's like
they don't-
corrupt.
They don't have the internet. They don't have Xerox machines to put posters up everywhere. So when somebody finally asks him his name, and he says he's Desmond Gibbons, they immediately recognize that he's the Cactus Kid.
Got it.
So he's notorious
Because they've heard the name, but they've never seen the face.
Exactly.
Gotcha. All right, so we got the unlikely trouble from the sheriff. What?
Mobig says the sheriffs are the same way around here. Always trying to hurt small businesses, cracking down on crack.
It's true, and they steal your weed too, apparently. Now,
After their conflict, the Cactus Kid finds himself inexplicably wearing the badge of a lawman.
does that mean he wakes up with a badge on, or does he KO the sheriff and then take the badge, or does the town force the sheriff position on him? What does this mean, man?
Okay, that I'm not going to spoil.
Damn it!
Have to read the book, Neff!
I was thinking in the back of my mind, I know Neff. I know he's going to keep probing until there comes a point where I won't cross the line.
Dojo, you know me well, bro. I probe. I probe.
I was
deep,
prepared
man.
for this interview. I knew that there would be you and your questions.
All right. Here comes my favorite part, though. All right.
Okay, all right.
Later, while on the trail of a serial killer, he and his deputy run afoul of a powerful druid, and the
What?
Now,
Wait. Time out. So he's a lawman now, which means he's got a deputy, and they're chasing down a serial killer, but they come upon a druid. Bro. There were so many words in that sentence. You got my attention, for sure. You definitely have my attention, and you piqued my interest. But I'm like, he's got to be playing Mad Libs. How is he coming up with this? How is he just chasing down a serial killer? They come upon a druid.
Yeah.
Where did it come from?
Yeah. Not only does that seem like a total non sequitur, but what's this? Even Garrett. All right then.
You know what they say about artists getting pegged, right?
I'm sorry, keep going. I didn't mean to stop this.
You want me to keep going? Okay. She's dead. She's done. She's turning
totally
pink.
lost her.
She's turning the same color as her hair. All right, so we were talking about the druid, man. Like, so
Yes.
druids in the Wild Wests and serial killers. All right, yeah, you're right. It seems like a non sequitur, but I'm sure you have a plan.
Oh,
Tell
absolutely.
me a little bit. Tell me a little. I know you can't give it away, but tell me a little bit.
All right. So the druid, yeah, when you think of druid, you think of like old England, you think of Ireland, right? Celtic lore and all that stuff, not the American West. Well, the druid is on a mission, and the Cactus Kid was on a mission. They are completely unrelated missions, okay? But they cross paths. And that's a problem.
And as a result, the druid's like, nah, fuck you, you're a lizard.
You will learn, like the trailer says, in a
Don't
minute.
fuck with druids.
Actually, go ahead and play the next few lines of the trailer.
You got it, bro.
The events that lead to the Cactus Kid's transformation into the hulking, four-armed projectile reptile are even more than the druid bargained for.
Stop.
I gotta
So,
say
yeah.
that pan up is one of my favorites with like the saloon girls, and
Oh,
he's
yeah.
just like, yeah, I got the. Yeah, this is why you gave him 4 arms. I couldn't for the life of me figure it out because like no reptile that I can think of has like 6 legs. You know what I mean? Because he's got like
Right.
4 arms and 2 legs. That's like 6 appendages. But I was like, that doesn't fucking matter. Give him 4 arms so he can hold guns and grab tits, and that's it right there. It's
Well,
perfect.
in this picture, he's grabbing ass.
Yes. Right. So you know
I
what?
guess you could grab ass and tit. All
There
at
it
the same
is.
time
He's
and
got
put the
4
guns away.
arms. That's why he has 4, right?
He's got 4 arms. You have 2 chicks and grab all the tits.
Right. He's
Odin-
twice the man.
Odin would like to weigh in with, I guess,
sure he
an
would.
actually moment. Also, I guess the Roman slaughter of the Druids didn't happen, so he's calling shenanigans on Druids.
Oh, boy.
Or
This
This
is not
imposter.
funny. This does not
This
add
is
to the
Odin
conversation.
saying, actually.
Odin being a nerd. We love Odin, but he's
Yeah,
a nerd.
of course. No, it's yeah, and I mean this is America, so like, you know what? It did happen. The wholesale slaughter of the druids did happen. A couple of these guys, they used their druidic magic and they bounced out of Stonehenge and they came to the Americas and settled there during
There you
the
go.
Middle Ages. And I don't know. We'll make up some convoluted bullshit. We're writers. That's what we do, right?
Here it says fate has them pegged.
Yes, of course. All right, so he gets transformed by the druid. Maybe it's an accident, not intentional. Maybe the magic goes somewhat awry. But this guy turns into like a 6+ foot tall, 4-armed, 2-legged, gun-toting lizard dude.
Well put.
So, said, even as a reptile, Gibbons is always up to some monkey business.
There you go.
And at this
That's a
point,
good
Ogden is
tagline.
going to accuse Projectile Reptile of not being based on a true story.
Your mythology, Jojo, your mythology is off. Serial. All right, what?
Damn, I've been probed.
Nicely done. Well job. Good job bringing it back.
there
Well
we
done. All right. So here we go.
From the Wild West to current-day Los Angeles, where he meets superheroes Black Eagle and Red Hawk and forms an uneasy alliance with the stunning but deadly Kitty Hawk.
All right. So then he turns into a reptile with 4 arms who can grab tits and ass at the same time, wield guns, and then there's time travel.
Then there's time travel. Now, I said that time travel would not be introduced as a mechanism to change
I feel like
what
that
has
guy.
occurred.
You know that meme?
Yeah.
It's just like.
I
So
did
why
say
Los
that-
Angeles? Was he there to begin with, and he just kind of jumped forward in time, or did he like travel to Los Angeles?
You're right. He was in Los Angeles already. What would
So kind of like
eventually
Encino
become-
Man, but not that far back. He was like sealed and
There you
just
go.
woke up in the modern day and came out with his weird 4-armed 6 guns kind of looking for trouble, and then the superheroes showed up and they're like, it's a monster, and he's like, I'm not a monster, I'm the Cactus Kid, better known as the Projectile Reptile. What?
No, keep going when you're done. I have 2 things.
You interrupted me, what?
I didn't do. Snuggy was also wanting to say, how does he get to LA and why?
All right, so let's ask, have Dojo answer this before I just keep ranting like an idiot.
And
Go
before
ahead.
you press play, I have something I want to say. But
Okay, so he's actually already in Los Angeles, technically, or the space in which Los Angeles will be built. Then when he travels time, he doesn't go anywhere. He's not traveling through space as well, just time. And he basically appears where he was, but in Los Angeles now. And
So is it magic or is it time travel?
magical time travel.
Yes, I knew it.
That's what I was gonna say.
Magical time travel. He comes after the druid, and the druid's like, "Nah, fuck that, I'm out." And you're getting frozen in time. See, the druids did. They bounced out of medieval Europe.
That's
they used
it.
time travel.
See?
I'm telling you, it all makes sense.
does.
It'll make sense. He'll make it make sense.
So before you press play, look, I have the same hair. We both have space buns. I felt the need to point that out.
So now you need kitty ears. Yeah, just little kitty ears
yeah,
like she has.
kitty
Yeah,
ears.
she
I
has
thought it
kitty
was a
ears.
bow.
Her name is Kitty Hawk. She
Yeah,
has to
I-
have kitty ears.
Yeah, I told you, sometimes I'm dumb.
Sometimes.
Join the Projectile Reptile on a journey of gunslinging druidic magic, superheroes, and artifacts. Projectile Reptile from Dojo Kun Comics, only on Indiegogo. Are you ready for the truly Wild West?
I am not ready, my dude. This story is so much bigger than I could anticipate, imagine, or even wrap my head around. All right, now, so I gotta say, this seems like you're genre bending. You know what I mean? It's a supernatural Western murder mystery, replete with, in your own words, gunslinging druidic magic. And serial killers that morphs into a superhero comic with, since we've all seen Kitty Hawk, I can safely say, a little bit of fan service on the side. Why mix so many story elements? It seems like you're throwing it all into a pot, including the kitchen sink.
Chicken sink.
Kitchen
That
sink.
too. The chicken
Stirring
sink,
it
the
around
kitchen
and going
sink.
like,
them both in there.
soup's on! Like, why are you blending it all together like this? I gotta say, it's ambitious, and I'm, like, intrigued, but I'm also a little bit, like, perplexed. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah, I can see why you might be, taking a little bit aback and a little hesitant about that. And here's I think if I had to really put a reason behind it, it's because what I want to do is set the stage for all of these genres to be reasonable or make sense in the Dojo Kun universe. So there will be a number of these things where this is a good launching point, where Siamese basically launched the superheroes in order to tie chicken sink, yeah. In order to tie all of those other genres to the superheroes, I introduced those other genres and tied it to the superheroes in this second book.
I still got, so like the Western is more of an origin story than it is the story. Because like the conclusion of this, like the catharsis is going to be him encountering the superheroes, and then like the denouement would be him joining the superhero team. It's like it starts off a Western, and then the second act turn is going to get frozen in time and waking up in a world he's unsure of, and then he gets attacked by heroes who thinks he's a villain, or I don't know. I'm projecting, man. I project my reptiles everywhere, right? But like that seems like it's starting as a Western and then transitioning, morphing into something else, and each of these moments is kind of like an evolution for the story as well as the character. I'm just, like you said, you wanted to do a Western. Why not just do a Western? Is it because you want to work him into the Dojo Kun superhero universe? I think I broke him.
Dojo?
I was actually frozen. I wasn't trying not.
Uh-oh. Well, while Brian is roboting out, we will just come in with some
Chicken Sink
comments.
is actually a landmark in Texas. It's a garbage disposal at Beaver's old apartment. Very good, Mo. Very good.
You made D-Wag spit all over his phone. And AA says, I prefer a mild West story as opposed to a wild West story.
Something like Custer, I'm calling you out. Come high noon, we'll settle this with an intermediary over tea.
I like tea.
Yes. So I was saying, it seems like it's more of like a journey through time and genre that transforms him into a superhero. And really, it's kind of like an origin story of how he winds up being a member of the, I don't know, is it the Alliance? Which one does he join?
I think Brian is frozen again. And Lord Ravener, I always get it wrong. I'm so sorry, Ravener.
Coyote! Yes!
Like the Raven, Derp. I just noticed your
Raven,
avatar.
yeah. She figured it out
now,
now? Okay,
now
good.
okay.
He's
So
been
I'm
cursed
dumb all the time. Sorry.
all the time. Yes, all the time. And I love you. Peyote Coyote. I love it. I think that's Dojo, you've got to throw that in. Where did he go?
I'm assuming he's having some technical difficulties.
As long as it's not us.
Oh, here he comes.
Tyler looks dumb.
Here he is.
So that was my way of answering the question. No, I'm kidding.
No, it's fine.
I don't know what happened.
Brian was just transported through time and space by a druid.
To
Damn
avoid
you,
the question.
Iceman.
We've also got Infinity with us, and we've got, as said before, Lord Ravener.
And Raiden Radio.
And Raiden Radio. Excellent.
Wow, great. Good to see
So I
everybody.
understand. I understand you can't answer everything because the campaign isn't even live. You haven't even teased more of the art and gotten us invested with the tiers and everything like that. And you don't want to give away any of the super spoilery surprises. I'm just curious by nature, man. I'm inquisitive.
Right. So one thing I wanted to show you is you saw it for a second on the trailer, and that is the art by 6 a.m. Comics. So this,
Dude, I love that. I gotta
this
say,
here
that's a
is a
hell of a
magnet.
sticker.
It's a magnet.
Oh, it's a magnet. Oh.
So you're avoiding the whole stickers versus bookmarks debate, and you're
Team
going
sticker
straight.
mark.
You're going
I'm going
straight
for
for the magnet. I love
The
it.
magnet
Awesome.
is the answer. And the first 100 backers of a physical tier will get this in their package for free.
That's a great incentive. I love it.
That's very cool.
I have them all right
So-
here.
So then, you said before that most of the Dojo Kun Comics library is MA, not YA. Can we assume the same thing with Projectile Reptile?
I would say that Projectile Reptile fits into all ages. There's no mature.
Really? So there's no full frontal in Projectile Reptile?
There is not.
Dojo, it's called Projectile Reptile.
It's not.
And you didn't do it. I don't know if this was a missed opportunity, as you
Give
would
me a
say.
second here. It's not erectile projectile.
Are you sure? Because I mean, that would be perfect.
I might be willing to do a one-page parody of my own IP. I don't know. We'll see.
But like Nuclear Warhead Samurai.
Yeah, or like those old Twinkie ads that they throw in there that were completely silly, where the Hulk will roll up a bunch of bad guys in a concrete road, which actually that means he killed them all, but not really.
I think that doing a parody of your own thing, not only does it show that you have a sense of humor about your own IP and that you can enjoy, people, and so you don't take yourself too seriously. You can enjoy poking fun at it,
Yeah,
but it
they can
also
definitely-
actually might get people to look at it in a more comedic and different way. Because looking at this, I'm wondering, is he taking it all very seriously, or does he have a little bit of a tongue-in-cheek, this is the most out there story that I could come up with, and I want to take you along for the ride on this most ridiculous thing that could possibly be put together. Because it seems like, you're going in a very different way than the stuff that I have anticipated or even read from you before. I Am Death, very serious, right?
Oh, yeah.
The Mad King, the stuff that you did, based off of Shakespeare, very serious. Even some of your more lighthearted superhero stuff, still very serious. It actually has a plot, it progresses, there's jokes thrown in, but it's a narrative and it's not a parody. This seems like it's right on the edge. You know what I mean? You take
It's
it.
not quite a parody.
Where is the erectile projectile, Dojo?
We have some thoughts on that in the chat.
Erectile projectile coming soon.
So we have I'm gonna go back to where
Okay.
it started. Immortal Rising comic book. Hi, by the way. Thanks for joining us. This is Lawful Frontal Reptile. There were other ones. Mo Biggs wants to know, will there be an erectile reptile?
I'm thinking more along those lines. That'll be fun.
Mo saying erectile reptile has 4 dongs and he's gonna need them all. I mean, he's got 4 arms, right? You gotta pair them off, right?
Rain Radio says, watch out for trouble. It could be a reptile dysfunction.
Oh, see, I can't imagine that there would be anything dysfunctional
About a
him.
projectile?
Right. About a reptile with
With its projectile. Immortal Rising comic book, Erectile Projectile is now the name.
I think you gotta lean into it, man. Like, you gotta lean into, though, this is off the wall. Like, and let's have some crazy fun with it. You know, like the Clint Holinsky thing where he's like everything cheesecake. You remember like Pirate Queen, and then he did Blue Bombshell. I was
Blue
like
Bombshell,
Tits
yep.
McGee. Yeah, Blue Bombshell.
McGee.
I couldn't remember the name. But
it's just-
like, so
it is a
that's
lot
like
like that.
that's like his brand, you know, like he leans into it. It's just tits everywhere. Like the Dojo Comics brand, I think, is kind of crystallizing into this unexpected, below the surface stuff that you don't really see coming, kind of hits you sideways. And if you lean into that, because we all know what's coming with Kitty Hawk, right? Like, she's the obvious cheesecakey kind of love interest, and we're totally gonna see her and Projectile Reptile have like some weird tension, and that's the perfect moment for some
here's the
reptile
cool thing about
function.
That. Here's the cool thing about that. You say that that's obvious, so you expect that to come from me?
Absolutely.
Really?
Yes! I'm expecting some sort of like weird, uneasy tension between the two of them. He says an uneasy alliance, right? Like, I guess they're teaming up over something.
But you're expecting there to be some kind of romantic tension or whatever. So
She's
if
like the
that's-
lead female, and look at what she's dressed in.
Well, I think that's common in Wild West stories too. There's always like, you know, the gunslinger and the like
She's
female
modern.
protagonist.
She's in L.A. No. Like, look at her outfit.
in
No,
stories.
seriously, go look at her outfit. Like, if you want to, load up the trailer again. She's in like a cat suit, kind of like a cat burglar, or she's got little ears and she's got like skin tight everything. Like,
got the
I would
window.
imagine she would be either a superhero or like a
Windows are
unaligned possible supervillain. What? There's a snake in my boots. Erectile Projectile sounds like a punk band name. There's a lot to be done with it. Somebody's poisoned my bunghole. Shoot that snake. Bow. You see how much fun these guys are having with it? El Padrino's here. He says, "Greetings, fellas. I just come here to say hi." You usually come here to say something else, El Padrino.
There it is.
Oh, and B-Rose gay. Yeah.
B-Rose gay. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, B-Rose gay.
I said we were worried about you. We thought it was like one of those like code things where you're like blink if you're not okay.
So am I off base? Is there no like sexual tension, chemistry at all between Kitty Hawk and Projectile Reptile?
All I will say is whatever you're expecting, don't.
Don't expect anything.
I'm the
I
unaligned
expect
supervillain.
to have a good time. Like
That you'll
am
have.
I-
Okay.
Okay.
Hi, Gifted Rebels. He thinks Frequency Girl is the unaligned supervillain. Yes.
I mean, if
You
you're
have
getting
unmasked my-
sexually tense with a four-armed
well,
reptile.
no,
So let's talk about the art then, all right? Who is on pencils, inks, and colors? And
All right,
how did you
so-
find them?
I found them actually in various places. I found Caius on ArtStation. Caius is the penciler and inker. He's also the penciler and inker of the main cover. That's the one with the split screen that you're seeing in the background right now. The cover that has his arms around the chicks grabbing their ass, that's Renzo Rodriguez. And
I know Renzo.
he had so much fun with that cover. We had a lot of fun working together on that. So he definitely wants to come back for something else in the future, and I'd be happy to have him come back. And I've got a third cover that it's no secret who it's going to be by, but I haven't seen it yet because he's so swamped with so much work right now that he still
Is it
has to
Shelby?
get it to me. It's Shelby.
You simp. It's okay, man. He's amazing. I support him.
Unabashedly
I mean,
a
if
simp
there's
for
someone
Shelby. Yep.
I mean, I'm quite abashedly a simp, but I won't admit it. But he does incredible work.
Yes.
So
And it's going to be like totally in his wheelhouse. It's going to be an homage cover
of course
to an old Mike
he's great
Zeck
at
cover.
those.
So it's going to be
The
great.
who?
A Mike Zeck cover.
Okay,
Gifted Rebel says total simp.
obviously.
Yep. Guilty as charged.
John from Beyond Time. All right, so we talked a little bit about the art. So
the
what
colors.
dimensions and DPI are we talking about here? What's the resolution on the book?
No less than 300 DPI. I'm hoping for 400.
So is it going to be standard comic book format too, like same dimensions as before?
Yes, it's going to be the same size as Siamese, and the hardcover will also be the same size that the Siamese hardcover was. And I have them both here to show folks. The hardcover for Siamese, like that.
I got
there
you. Yeah. Let
It's
me
a little
click the
smaller.
buttons.
You can see it's a little smaller than the Siamese trade paperback. Okay?
Yeah.
That's intentional. I really like the compact feel of this hardcover. Just, I don't know, that's what the hardcover Projectile Reptile will be, that same size.
Neff's probing is relentless. It is, Mo. It is, Mo. Once I set my eyes on a target, I never give up. I just latch on and, never
It's
let
the
go.
pitbull of CG.
The bloodhound. I'll sniff it all out. All right, so you have an editor this time around too, right? What
Yes.
prompted you to hire one, and like what has he done? Why have you like retained them?
Okay, so what prompted me to was the advice that I see repeatedly from other creators, from the chat, and from editors themselves. Joe Fulton, Aldous, Snuggy's an editor for someone. And really, when I wrote Siamese, I did it without an editor because I'm a proofreader. I've been an editor and an auditor for many years. And I thought that, I didn't need an editor. Well, you know what? I'm wrong about that because I had Steve Ferguson, who I mentioned earlier. He's the one who got me in touch with Janice Hardy. So Steve is my editor. He went through the book, and I asked him to go through it in 2 iterations. I said, I'd like you to read through it first as a potential fan. Like, if I know it's not going to be drawn yet, it's just going to be in script form, but read it as if you were a fan reading it. Is it fun? Is it a good story that you want to see in comic book form? And, for that purpose, it's just read it as a fan. So the second one, I said, I want you to go through and read it for, errors and continuity mistakes, and particularly 2 things. Number 1, look for things where I am assuming the reader knows something that they shouldn't be able to yet. Because I know where the story is going, where it came from, and I sometimes have the habit of taking you from place A to B, and you don't know how you got there. That doesn't work well in comics because then it takes you out of the story. You're like, well, why is this happening now? So I wanted him to check for that, number 1. And number 2, the voices of the characters. And he made a very good observation that improved the book dramatically, in my opinion, and that was this. The Cactus Kid, at the beginning of the book, started talking in a kind of a folksy old Western tone, and then a couple of pages later sounded far more articulate. And he said, either one is fine, but you need to pick one.
Be consistent.
If you want him to be, if you want him to be very articulate, that's cool. Or if you want him to sound like a folksy old Westerner, that's cool too. But he can't be both. And I'm glad he did that. I did a lot of editing, to fix that and give each character a consistent voice throughout the comic. So his editing, I think, improved the book dramatically.
Yeah. So what else has he done? Has he worked as an editor on any other projects?
Not on comic books. He is a longtime editor of publications, church bulletins, magazines.
So like periodicals and stuff like
advertising
that.
And all that. Yes. So.
Great. So
and
he's
he's a
definitely
longtime friend
experienced
too.
Oh, that's awesome. It's always nice to like be able to work with people that you know. I truly enjoy starting new relationships with people and like establishing a working partnership early on, and like showing people that they can depend upon me, and like feeling them out and like creating a new a new awesome thing. But it's great to be able to go back to relationships that you have in the past and be like, hey, you want to do something? Like, we know each other for a long time. Let's do a thing. So that can be really cool and rewarding to like tap those contacts, just tap them, right? Jim Cox is here saying copy editors are equally as important and some need to be fired. I completely agree with you. There are some copy editors that just let things slip through the cracks. I'm going to show Children of Genesis just once. I know my man Brian and I have talked about it. The guy who edited him did him real dirty. So yeah, we definitely know there are people out there who are going to take your money and just not do a good job. But I don't think that that's the case with your friend, because he's your friend. So
he's
you said
So
he's
I
like,
do-
yeah, go ahead.
I do want to answer the question you asked earlier. In addition to the artist, I've also got a colorist who is new to CG and excited to be here. He was my co-host on Wednesday night's show. So for those of you who missed it, go watch the replay. I think he proved himself very well, because my computer was boomerang, and he had to sort of like carry the show for a little while until I got back on, and he did great. And also too, I think he's really showing that he's got the chops to be a colorist in this area. If you remember the trailer, all of the scenes that are in the Old West, he's the colorist on those. So I think
those
he's
are
doing
nice
great.
and velvety colors. I like those, the rich color palette.
And his name is Chris Lythwood.
Lythwood. That's an interesting last name.
Very cool.
So I can assume that your current editor, since he's worked on like church bulletins, magazines, periodicals, things of a literary nature, he hasn't done a whole lot of work on layout and design. That's still going to be entirely on you, right? The sequential work, the checking for perspective,
Yes.
the paneling and all those other things. That's entirely going to be like still you. Would you bring in anyone to look at it and be like, yeah, okay, like the readability here is great. I like these things, but that might not read the way that you want it to? Because I've found, like, when I'm doing my own stuff, there are times when I'm like, I don't know. Like, I think that this is okay, but I could see how it might not. And I have to go and grab somebody and be like, would you look at this page and tell me if this one panel doesn't fit the, I guess, the flow? Do you have someone like that you can test your art against?
Well, although he hasn't officially edited such things, he is a longtime comic book reader. So
Okay.
Steve, I in fact, it was like giving him his first bag of crack. I gave him his first couple of comic books, and
Is he crack pack confirmed?
right. He got heavily into Iron Man, and what happened was there was a crossover with the Amazing Spider-Man, and then there was a crossover with, I don't know, the Avengers, and then there was a crossover with, and he was like, okay, dude,
I have to collect it all now, right?
I'm not going to start collecting. He's helped me move a few times. He knows that, there's 80 long boxes in my comic room. He's like, I am not going to let it take over like you let it take over you. So he actually handed them back to me.
Like, I'm not going to get an addiction like you.
Yeah,
You're
me
not going to
neither.
ruin my life.
Save me.
Right? No, I like him already if he's an Iron Man fan. I enjoyed that book.
Oh yeah, he really loved the billionaire genius aspect. Yep.
Yeah, man. That's like my jam, right? All right. So, and proofreading, I'm assuming since you're a proofreader, you try and catch your own errors, but you also have a wife, and wives are good for that, right? Like, they're good for a lot of things, but definitely proofreading. Proofreading is one of them.
I don't think she'll take the time to do that. No.
Ooh. Hammer ain't gonna help you out? Hammer don't play that?
Hammer don't play that. No, she
not
tolerates
Hammer
this stuff. She tolerates it.
But-
She supports it. She does not participate.
But I mean, if you make enough money, then she's gonna have her own title. Like, isn't that the
this is
objective?
true, yes. And she's
Yeah,
been
so
on the
like,
show before,
flattery
so-
will get you a little bit of help, right?
Yeah, she's offered to help with fulfillment. So, if this gets to be enough of a fulfillment where there's actually a difficulty, yeah, she'll step in and help. And that would be an awesome problem to have.
It's always nice to have the wives pack boxes for you.
Yeah.
Hopefully not in a way where you're moving out, right? I didn't mean that. So speaking of fulfillment and all that other stuff, you did have a little bit of trouble on your past two campaigns. They struggled for funding. What are you doing differently this time than you did the last two times? What did you learn, and what new strategies are you implementing?
Okay, so yes, when those two campaigns failed, I found that it would be best to reach out to the network of friends that I've made here in CG and ask them, what about these two campaigns did you feel did not resonate with the fans such that they would back it? So a couple of things I learned. Number one, To'u Ro'u Tales was a problem because a lot of people found it difficult to pronounce, even if
I
they
was
were
going to say,
repeating
I was like,
after
that's
me.
exactly it right
yeah,
there.
I didn't pronounce it that way. So
Difficult to pronounce because Toro is Spanish for bull, but To'uro'u is the stone lantern in my company's logo. Number 2, To'uro'u Tales was an anthology, and those are difficult. Now, anthologies can be successful, but they need to come from a bigger name than me to be successful. For example, Two-Fisted Manly Tales is an anthology. It was funded very well, but it's Graham Nolan, right? So that's an anthology that, you know, didn't struggle. Whereas To'uro'u Tales, completely new IPs, a fairly new creator. I haven't been in the industry for 20 plus years. So I think that's another reason that one struggled. So for Projectile Reptile, I went with a name that not only is easy to pronounce, but fun, right? As you can see, if you scroll back up in the chat. Then
everyone
with the
loves it.
shifter, the big stumbling block with the shifter was the goal. I think that people thought it was interesting, that the art was fantastic, but the problem was the goal. So this goal is far more attainable. This goal will be 5,000.
Yeah, that makes a lot more sense. Bringing
Yeah.
it down to, you know, around that level.
And I'll be honest with you, this is going to
pay.
cost more than that.
I was going to say, you did have to pay your line artist, and you did have to pay a colorist, and you do have the added expense of an editor, plus you have 3 covers, so it's not going to be cheap, you know,
Right.
Also when you include the printing of it, it's not going to be cheap. But setting a lower goal means that you have more room to work with, because like the farther, you know, it is away from the goal, you know, the less that people think you're going to actually attain it.
Right.
And making it flexible can be very dangerous when you're like, oh great, I made $300 and this book actually cost me $12,000, you know. Got to have a
Right.
plan for the aftermarket. And I know you do sell off your website. You have sold digital before. You have sold print on demand. So you definitely have places to go to put the book for the aftermarket once it's done. It's definitely a place for you to make up your money that way. But it can still be difficult when you're doing the crowdfunding to put yourself in a position where you're going to lose cash.
Right. Well, and not only that, but I think that the website that I have developed, as rudimentary as it is, it still serves its purpose. And in the event that something does happen with the crowdfunding platforms, like we've been talking about recently over the last few months here in the CG network, if something happens with the crowdfunding, I still have an opportunity to sell my books.
Yeah, absolutely. That's essential. If you're going to be selling something, you need a marketplace and access to a marketplace. And honestly,
Right.
I don't think Indiegogo is a marketplace. I
No.
think Indiegogo is a place that we go to showcase a designer boutique product, to reward the backers with special treatment who help us make the thing a reality. And then we go and we take that product out into a bigger marketplace, and that's where it makes its money. You get it into circulation, you get it into distribution into stores, you sell it at conventions, you do whatever the hell you possibly can, but that's where the marketplace is. Indiegogo really shouldn't be where you're trying to make your money. It should be where you're trying to fund your book. A lot of these big guys, like maybe people who were looking at like Ethan and your boy and like some of the bigger creators who were looking at those totals going, wow, they're making their money here. They're not. They're just succeeding extra here. Like that's extra success. This is not where they're looking to make their money. They should be looking to make their money off the platform. Maybe the older, bigger creators, they don't need to. You know, I don't know if Jawbreakers is ever going to go to stores, but I know Ethan sells Cyberfrog on eBay. He sells it off his website. He sells it in the aftermarket. You can still get the stuff, right?
Yep.
Anyway, so what advice do you have for creators who are just coming out the gate, who want to get into the comic book game, want to get crowdfunding? I mean, you've done so much stuff. You've produced 14 titles. You've done 3 crowdfunders already on Indiegogo. You did one on Kickstarter. What experience, what knowledge would you hand down to young ones that are now just starting out?
So the first thing I would say is write the book as if you were the audience. Write the kind of book that you would want to read. And what will happen with that is you'll write it in such a fashion that you'll find an audience, because the passion you have for that project, the one that you would want to read, the one that you would enjoy reading, will come through. Number 2, find someone. It doesn't have to be mainstream, but it could be. Find someone that you'd like to emulate. I don't mean copy. I don't mean steal their ideas, but just this is a writer that I think this is the kind of writing I want to shoot for, because that will give you inspiration. I think inspiration is important, even if you have great IP ideas. And then lastly, putting together your team. If you're not the one-stop shop like some of them are, I'm completely jealous for those that can do it all. But, those that can do it all, it takes them a long time to do it all because they're doing it all. But if you are the kind of person that needs to put together a team, Matt. Yeah, those two things would help as well.
That's my advice.
Yeah. I've seen a few campaigns succeed wildly that I think because of the assets they were showing on screen rather than in the book might have made all the difference in the world. But when you're putting together a great team, sort of like Neff said a little while ago, you kind of have to build the relationship of trust, of dependability, and also, what's the word I'm looking for? You kind of have to feel out what kind of professionalism they have. And you can tell pretty quick, if you're observant, what kind of responsiveness they have, what kind of, are they trustworthy? Are they just in it for the buck, or are they actually also passionate about the project? Like I said, with Renzo, who he did the cover with the two saloon gals, he had a lot of fun doing that. And I think that shows in the care he put into the detail. Not just the AAT, but, the detail around them as well.
Yeah, but the AAT is important,
Oh, it's very important. It sells very well.
Right. I mean, and that's one of the reasons that I'm like, cheesecake, some cheesecake from Kitty Cock, little fan service there. You got my expectations up. You got my my temperature up.
Something's up.
I want fulfillment, man. I want you to execute on those projectile erectile thing. Yeah, all right. So, I think, unless there are some more questions from the chat.
There was a question before that Frog G asked that we didn't get to.
And he had to hop off?
He did, but I still want to ask for him. He said he's going to be the one to bring the tough questions. Are you ready, Dojo?
Oh, I remember
I'm
this.
ready.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
Tacos, burritos, or nachos? Which one?
Burritos.
Dojo likes them long and packed full of goodness.
See,
get your hands around.
I like them thick.
Yep, like some stuffed.
Yeah. You heard it here, folks.
All right. Hey, we got Hojo in the chat. What's up, Hojo? Glad to have you back, man. Glad you're with us. Jim Cox says, correct answer, yes. It's always good to please Jim Cox, right? So I think...
Oh, thank you. Lord Ravener says, you guys need to get monetized. This is one of the best interview shows in CG.
That warms the cockles of my heart, Lord Ravener. Thank you so much.
Heart?
I assume that's what that is. Could be my second stomach.
Maybe. Thank you, Mojo. 6 away from 500.
Frequency Girl, they say that the best way to a man's heart is through his chest.
That's true. But that is if that's my stomach, then that is also the way to get. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. That is going to be it for us tonight. Don't forget to check out Projectile Reptile when it goes live. I'm sure Dojo Kun has all sorts of exciting stuff in store for us. Hit up the sign up list if you haven't already. Actually, I'm sorry, I did have one more question.
Okay.
Compared to Siamese, what's the sign-up list looking like for Projectile Reptile? Is it stacking up to the anticipation that you had with Siamese?
If we are talking as far as where we are in the same length of time, Projectile Reptile is slightly ahead of where Siamese was in collecting sign-ups. We're at over 70, but I'd really like to get to 100 before we launch.
So 30 alts, guys. 30 alts, that's all we need.
30 alts. If you haven't signed up, and it might be because you think maybe this isn't your genre, trust me, it's all genres. Come on in. Sign up.
It is.
It's all of them.
Just spaghetti at the wall, man. I love it. All right. So there you have it. 70 signups. Let's get them to 100. Launching later in August. I'm sure you've got a really cool plan for that. Yeah.
Yeah, you're launching on Bancroft, right?
I'm launching on Bancroft on a Saturday at 9, and then right over to Lord Crackhead's show at 10.
Oh man, that's a nice power 2 hour right there. That's a good call. So if you like the content, like Lord Ravener, said you should, don't forget to subscribe and like the video. We'd really appreciate it. And click the bell for notifications for when we go live.
And tune into the frequency.
We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Hey, thanks again.